My fiancée finished her PhD 15 months ago and still hasn't been able to get a job. Our wedding is at the end of the year. I've been covering all expenses, including her loans and car, and I'm terrified I'll be the only breadwinner forever. 27 male, am supposed to be getting married at the end of this year to my fiancée, 29 female, but for the first time in our 11-year relationship, I'm having serious doubts. The core issue is this. She finished her PhD 15 months ago and still hasn't been able to find a job. And I'm terrified of ending up trapped in a marriage where I'm the only breadwinner while she stays at home indefinitely. To give some context, we've been together since high school. We went to the same university, studied in similar programs, and always saw ourselves as a team, where each of us would support the other through different stages of life. I chose to stop at a master's degree and get into the workforce, while she decided to go all the way with her PhD. I didn't hesitate to support that decision because I truly believed it was an investment in our shared future. The deal, at least in my head, was that I'd help hold things down financially while she finished, and then once she had her doctorate she'd get a good job, and we'd finally be able to thrive. But that's not how things have played out. She defended her dissertation and graduated a year and 3 months ago. Since then, she's been unemployed. And not just unemployed in the still figuring things out sense. I mean, she's only had maybe 4 or 5 interviews the entire time. I know she's been sending out applications, but I can't help noticing that she doesn't apply in any kind of sustained or structured way. She'll apply to a handful of jobs and then kind of retreat into herself when she doesn't hear back. To be totally honest, I was already worried when she said she wasn't going to apply for jobs until after she finished her program. I get that dissertations are intense, and I didn't want to add pressure, but most people in her program were applying to postdocs or jobs while finishing. She insisted she just needed to get through it first, and then she'd be in a better headspace to apply. I wanted to trust her. But now here we are, 15 months later, and she hasn't moved forward. What's even harder is that most of her days look stagnant. She does some pet sitting to get out of the house, which I think is good for her mental health, but most of the time she's at home on TikTok or scrolling through random stuff online. When I come home from work, she'll tell me she's burnt out from job searching, but when I ask how many jobs she applied to that day, sometimes the answer is 0. I told myself that if she didn't have a job within a year of finishing, I need to seriously reevaluate things. I thought I was setting a clear boundary for myself, but 15 months have gone by, and I'm still here. Part of me feels guilty because I know she had mental health struggles back in undergrad that really set her back at the time. She's been stable for years now with therapy and medication, but because of that rough patch, she missed out on internships, networking, and other extracurriculars that help people land their first job. So while she has the degree, she doesn't have the experience to back it up. I think that's a huge part of why she's not getting traction. But at the same time, sympathy only goes so far when I'm working full-time and she's on TikTok half the day. And now, with the wedding looming at the end of this year, I feel like I'm standing on a cliff edge. I love her. She's been my partner for basically my whole adult life. But I can't shake this dread that I'm walking into a marriage where I'll always be the only breadwinner, where I'll resent her for not pulling her weight, and where her potential will stay untapped while I carry the burden. I don't want to be the guy who leaves his partner after supporting her through years of school, but I also don't want to be the guy who traps himself in a lifetime of resentment. I'm almost 5 years into my professional career now, and on paper, I've been doing well. Earlier this year, I bought my first condo, something I've worked really hard for and felt incredibly proud of. But that pride has been shadowed by the reality that I've also been carrying both my life and my fiancé's, 29F, on my shoulders. Since she finished her PhD 15 months ago, she hasn't been able to find a job. At first, I didn't worry. The job market can be brutal, and I knew that after years of grad school, she might need some breathing room. But as the months went on, the breathing room became more like stagnation. She's had less than 5 interviews this whole time. Most days she's at home, pet sitting for extra cash when she can, but otherwise she spends hours scrolling on TikTok. I'm paying for everything. Our shared expenses, her student loans, her car, groceries, you name it. And here's the thing, I supported her through school with no hesitation. When I chose to stop at my master's, she decided to push through for the full PhD, and I told myself this was an investment in our future. I was proud of her. I imagined her landing a great position after graduation, maybe even making more than me one day. I thought I'd be the one supporting her during grad school, but she'd carry us further later on. That's not what happened. Now, 15 months later, I can't ignore the fear that keeps creeping up on me. What if she never finds something? What if I get married at the end of the year, and this is just my life forever? Me as the sole breadwinner, her staying home, slowly losing touch with her career, and eventually giving up on it altogether. And if we have kids, I can see the patterns so clearly. She'd stay home to raise them, then the years would slip by, and when she was finally ready to rejoin the workforce, she'd be completely out of touch, with zero real-world experience. The resentment is starting to creep in. I don't want it to, but it does. I've been working hard, building my career, and now paying for everything. I worry that my love for her is becoming tangled with this frustration, that I'm no longer just her partner, but also her provider. And I hate that thought because I love her so deeply. We've been together for 10 years. She isn't just my fiancée, she's been my best friend since high school, the person who's been through every stage of life with me. She knows me better than anyone. The idea of throwing all of that away because of this one issue feels wrong, almost cruel. And yet, how long is too long? When does being supportive stop being admirable and start being foolish? I keep going back to the wedding. It's at the end of the year. Deposits are paid, families are involved, plans are rolling forward like a train I can't stop. The weight of it all feels massive, like inertia carrying me into a marriage I'm not entirely sure I can survive. Canceling now would mean explaining to everyone why, and I don't even know how to articulate this problem without sounding shallow. She doesn't have a job. On the surface, that sounds like nothing, but to me, it feels like everything. I need to make something clear, though, because I realize I might not have expressed it well enough before. I love her. Genuinely, completely. I tell her all the time that I'm proud of her. I know how much rejection sucks, how demoralizing it must be to keep sending applications into the void. She hasn't quit the search, and that persistence is something I admire. She is smart, ambitious, and resilient. I see how strong she is even now. And outside of this one glaring issue, we have an amazing relationship. We go on weekly date nights, try new restaurants, take trips, hike together, share hobbies. She makes me laugh constantly. She's my partner in so many ways. If she had a job right now, I don't think I'd be questioning anything. But she doesn't, and the silence around it is growing louder every month. I keep asking myself, am I shallow for letting this weigh so heavily? Or am I being realistic about what life will look like in 5, 10, 20 years? I can't shake the fear of being locked into a marriage where I'm financially responsible for everything while she drifts further away from her career. I don't want to become bitter. I don't want to wake up one day and feel trapped. We've talked about this issue more than once, sometimes in heavy, sit-down, serious talks, and other times as part of our everyday conversations. But the first real, big conversation happened around the 6-month mark of her unemployment. At that point, I was already burning out. I was coming home from work after long days, paying all the bills, covering her student loans and car payments, and still finding the sink full of dishes, laundry piling up, groceries untouched. I finally sat her down and told her point blank that something had to change. I told her I couldn't keep carrying everything by myself. That was when she started pet sitting. It's not much money, but it gave her some independence and got her out of the house, and honestly, it felt like a step forward. Since then, she's also taken on more around the house. The dishes get done. I don't always have to jump straight into chores the second I walk through the door, and she's more mindful about splitting up the little things that used to fall only on me. That's progress, and I don't want to diminish it. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't erase the fact that she still hasn't been able to land a job in her actual field. We're not clueless about the job market. We talk about it a lot. We both know it's tough right now, especially for new grads. But here's the part one can't shake. When she graduated 15 months ago, the market wasn't this bad. It wasn't easy, but it wasn't the wall it is today either. Back then, she could have had a head start, gotten a foot in the door, maybe even gained some real experience. Instead, she decided she wanted to rest and recover after finishing her program. I tried to be supportive because I know defending a dissertation is stressful, but I was worried. And now, every month that passes, I feel like those early months matter more and more because they were chances that slipped by. I'm not trying to punish her for struggling or pretend I don't see how much this wears on her. She knows the situation isn't normal. She's frustrated with herself, and I see that. I see how much rejection sucks, how demoralizing it is to send out applications and either never hear back or get turned down again and again. I see how she questions herself. I do everything I can to lift her up, to remind her that she's smart, resilient, and capable, and that eventually something will break her way. I know she's not sitting around doing nothing, but it's hard not to notice the TikTok hours, the wasted afternoons, The way some days it feels like she's just existing instead of fighting for her future. And here's the truth I can't ignore. Marriage is more than love. Yes, I love her deeply, but marriage is also a financial contract, a legal partnership, and a commitment to build a stable life together. It means shared bills, shared goals, shared sacrifices. Right now, I feel like I'm doing all of the sacrificing. I'm paying the mortgage, the car, her loans, our expenses. I'm building my career while she's standing still. And it scares me. It scares me to think that if we get married, she might feel less pressure to push forward because I've already proven I'll carry the load. It scares me that if we have a kid, she'll stay home by default, and by the time she's ready to rejoin the workforce, years will have passed with nothing on her resume. Her daily routine has become almost painfully predictable. She wakes up, pours herself a cup of coffee, and immediately sits down with her laptop. Some people wake up and scroll through Instagram or TikTok first thing. For her, it's job boards. Indeed, LinkedIn, Glassdoor, university research postings, you name it, she's on it. She scrolls through them all like she's searching for a golden ticket, applying to whatever new listings fit her degree even loosely. Honestly, the way she does it looks a lot like doom scrolling, except instead of feeding herself bad news, she's feeding herself the anxiety of rejection. I've seen her tailor resumes, write cover letters, and prepare for interviews, only to get ghosted time after time. It's not like she isn't trying. She's applied to hundreds of positions. No, she's not grinding 10 hours a day in front of her laptop, but I know she's putting in the effort she has the mental energy for. And after 15 months of rejection, I can't really blame her for slowing down some days. Anyone would feel beaten down after giving so much and seeing so little in return. What hurts me the most isn't her unemployment, it's what it's done to her. She's picked up a lot of negative self-talk. Out of nowhere she'll mutter, "I'm a failure," or "I'm a waste of space," or "maybe I'll never amount to anything." It absolutely guts me when she says those things. I'm quick to shut it down and tell her it isn't true. I remind her of everything she's achieved, how much intelligence and resilience she has, how proud I am of her for even continuing to keep applying despite how demoralizing it's been. I've told her, again and again, that money doesn't matter, that I'd still be with her even if we had nothing. I've never threatened to leave, or even implied it. Those voices in her head aren't mine. They're her own insecurities amplified by frustration, maybe even by what she sees online where success and money get equated with self-worth. My original post, if I'm honest, was more about me than her. It was me spiraling, letting my anxieties run wild. I'm an anxious person by nature, and when I start catastrophizing, it escalates quickly. I started imagining this worst-case scenario. She never gets a job. I'm stuck as the only breadwinner forever. We can't afford kids. Resentment builds. Our marriage becomes toxic, and eventually everything crumbles. In my head, I played out that entire movie in a matter of minutes. When I step back and look at the bigger picture, the truth is we're doing okay. We love each other deeply, we still laugh, we still go on date nights, take little trips, enjoy our weekends together. Our relationship isn't cold or distant, it's warm and strong. Even if she never gets a job, we'd still survive. I make enough to cover our expenses, her student loans, and our mortgage. Would it be easier with a second income? Of course. Would it take some weight off me? Absolutely. But we're not in danger of losing everything. This isn't some do-or-die financial situation. It's just not what I pictured. And that's where my fear comes from. So, where does that leave me? I think I just need to keep holding on. To keep believing that something will come through for her eventually. Because it will. People get jobs. It might take longer for her, and it might not look like the dream career she envisioned right out. I'm right about believing that she'll get a job for sure, or what if that never happens? I know I should not think any negative, but the situation keeps eating me and making me kind of depressed a lot. Also, she is the love of my life. I should not leave her at all whether she gets a job or not. What would you have done if you were on the place of mine, and your fiancé was facing this kind of thing, and you just cannot do anything?